Kia ora, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of The Drop Clutch with me, Ricky V. In this series, I'm interviewing as many metal drummers from around New Zealand as I can get to, just to find out what makes these guys and girls tick. Now, tonight's guest needs absolutely no introduction, but fuck it, I'm going to give him one anyway. He is the bass player for Bulletbelt, one of New Zealand's top exports, arguably. He is the guitarist and vocalist for Intergracia, one of my favorite bands, and he's also the drummer for the newly minted band Crowns and Lunacy. I have Tim Mekalick. Bro, how we doing?
Mate, what an absolute fucking honour and privilege to be here, man.
Oh.
Massive fan of what you're doing, and I mean, all these guys you've interviewed so far are just absolutely top notch. So to even have a little spot in this bloody place, man, it's just fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Well, Tim, the honour and privilege is all mine, sir, I swear. So to get us started, Tim, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your history, and maybe tell us how Crowns and Lunacy got started as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Tim Mekalick, and I've been playing metal in general for, Jesus, we're looking at about 25 years at this point, mate. Going back to 1998.
Magnum opus, was it?
Oh, yeah, Magnum opus. When was that? That was like mid-2000s by that point.
Early 2000s,
probably
I reckon.
Yeah. That was cool, actually. I've been playing with both those guys since I was like 11, 12, 13 sort of thing. And then Magnum opus started off as like a duo between Rowan and Kyron, guitarist, bass players and that. And when they decided to get like the band together, I guess because of the history and what was known as Nemesis, they just kind of called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to play drums with us?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like that was a no-brainer. Let's go.
Fuck yeah!
And yeah, took off from there.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, as for the Crowns and Lunacy buzz though, so that's all led by Stefan Kahu. You might know him from like Suppression, Civilian Down.
Fuck yeah, Suppression.
Yeah, bro. Fuck, and like his drumming is absolutely amazing on that too. I've actually tried channeling some of that for this stuff. But basically, we've known each other for a long time, probably since about 2008, maybe earlier. So we've hung out a lot, we've worked together a lot, and I think it was like last year in February, I got approached by him just to say, "Hey, do you want to record something?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, dude. Like, it's about bloody time we're in a band together or doing something together, And I think what he wanted was a group full of super onto it, like really good work ethic, which I believe we've got here. Because let's face it, that can be pretty hard to find sometimes. So, yeah, he certainly did well with his selection of people with Mickey and Mark as well. Shout out to those guys.
Sure.
But, and since then, man, we've gone on to record 2 amazing singles, including our brand new And They Flew Monsters, which just got released on Wednesday.
Sure.
Which we're all very proud of. Yeah.
As you should be, bro. It's fucking dope. Continuing on with your history, can you tell us, please, Tim, what got you started drumming? How long have you been drumming and what got you started?
All right, so picture this. It's 1998. I'm in a little tiny primary school called Thomas Kennedy Junior Academy. I'm 10 years old. My teacher comes up to me. They say, "Tim, there's an 8-year-old boy who's just started school. We need you to show him the ropes." Sweet as. "I'm Tim, nice to meet you." He goes, "I'm Dylan, nice to meet you." Now, a lot of people could be aware of this guy, maybe not. This was Dylan Elise.
Whoa.
The drum, yeah. The drum prodigy even at the time. Now, he's 8 years old, and he's already playing like a 30-plus something year old. Like, he's probably a drummer in another life, you know what I mean? And he was already fantastic, and I was kind of watching some of his videos and watching him during school productions and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, that looked like a lot of fun. And one day I kind of asked him, like, mate, can I jump on your kit and have a go? And he says, no. Like, this isn't a toy, mate. You could break it. Like, you got to earn. You know what I mean? Like, back in our days, you had to earn your way to the good instruments. Like, you couldn't even touch an electric guitar until you played a shitty acoustic guitar for at least a year. You know, you had to show these people that you were going to be serious. So I was like, okay, well, screw this. Like, I'll set up a meeting with old Saint Nick and get a beginner's drum kit sorted. And that's what happened in Christmas of '98. Had a little beginner kit set up in the room and tried my best not to play too much louder than the boom boxes and the cassette players they were providing at the time. That was fun. Yeah, and it all kind of took off from there. And sort of the better I got, because I was like one of the only drummers in my age group in Kapiti Coast, the opportunities kind of just came flooding in, including Magnum Opus, you know, which has been absolutely fantastic to be part of.
Awesome. Have you had drum tutors along the way, or are you all self-taught?
There's a lot of self-taughtness in there, but I can't mention drum tutors without giving a big props to my guitar teacher, Dieter Burmester. He certainly taught me a lot. He got me through the basics and stuff like that, which I'll be forever grateful for. Always got a special place in my heart for that guy. Best teacher ever. And Peter Elliott, actually, I had a bit of a stint with him.
Oh, yeah?
He taught me some great things, man, including like hand movements, foot movements, how to use the snare as a trampoline rather than pushing your stick on there.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Getting that bounce going on. So props to Peter. Props to Fukushima too, man. What an awesome band.
So dope.
Yeah, absolutely loving what they're doing, man. Like, it's great to see him back on stage.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was
props to those guys.
He was Shakan, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think that was his main thing for a while. And yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, the family life happened and all that sort of jazz, and we kind of lost touch a little bit, but I was honoured to catch up with him recently.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So,
awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Dieter.
Yeah.
Thanks, YouTube.
What a dude. Teeth and Nails is actually playing a show with Fukushima in about 2 months, so I am fucking fizzing at the bung for that. They are so dope. All right, well, Tim, can you tell us about your setup? What are you rocking?
All right, so I've had the drum kit I've had for years and years now, which is a Pearl Export.
Oh, nice. Classic.
It's a good, reliable setup. So it's real funny actually, because like some of the drums are red and some of the drums are a darker red. So what's happened is it started off as a 5-piece, little bits here and there, and then like just added, you know, toms here and there and bass drums here and there. So my current setup now is like I'll start with the bass drums and the toms in that, right? 2 22s, different color, whatever. Does the job, right?
Yeah,
and then you've got the 8 inch, the 10 inch, the 12, and then it's like 14, 16. But I've put both of those as like the floor tom and that. So it's like 3 rack toms, 2 floors, 1 ride, a china next to the ride, like on the right, and then 3 crashes, obviously hi-hats. I just need to get another stand for the splash, because the splash is a big part of sort of what I do as well. But for a while, I was rocking a bloody skill saw blade.
Oh, yeah?
As a bell. So you could, you know, like a typical bell is what, $700 or something like that? Skill saw blade, $3. Thanks to Corey for that idea. Corey of 8 foot. But yeah, no, that's my setup at the moment, mate. Lots of toms.
Nice. I'm a lots of toms kind of guy. As you can see, I'm
loving your setup there, man.
Oh, like it's my baby. I've spent about 20 grand on it now over the years.
Holy crap.
That's with like,
I mean, the result shows, man.
Yeah, but that's with like reskins and replacing cymbals and stuff. That's not all like one flat thing. But yeah, I'm up to about 20 grand. It's my baby. It makes me very happy. But this isn't about me. This is about you, which brings me along to my next question. Do you have what is your warm up for practice or for live gigs, if you even have one?
Yeah, sure do. So it's a lot of wrist movements, like so you get the stick in one hand and you're sort of shaking it
Sure, yeah.
like that. So getting the arms warmed up, and then there's a lot of like wrist twisting and stuff like that. And there's a stretch sort of regime that I do like every day before work, and the drums are no exception, which is just stretching your arms, stretching the legs, rotating the shoulder, touching your toes. Very important to be able to touch your toes and all that sort of jazz, stretching those hamstrings and that. Bit of jumping up and down, making sure those ankles are going. Plus, as you get older, that shit becomes more important in general anyway. So my drum warm-up has turned into my life warm-up, if you get my drift. And,
Yes.
yeah, no, that basically sums the warm-up part of it, man. I mean, although in saying that, all these drummers that are getting out like the pads, you know, like the kick pads and the bloody, you know, hitting like the snare, you know, like the little drum pads before their shows. That's a bloody good idea as well, that I've kind of only seen like in recent times and that, you know.
Sure.
Or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But yeah, no, that. But okay.
Cool. So moving on there, Tim, can you tell us who some of your favorite drummers are and whose style has influenced your playing the most?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So one of my biggest surprises on the show, actually, there hasn't been much mention of Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater. He's a massive one for me and an absolute machine. Neil Peart. But two of my biggest game changers ever. One, Vinnie Paul. When I heard Cemetery Gates when I was 13, that just changed everything, man. Like the way he played was just absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, there was a time when I wanted to be like him in every way, you know. Yeah, he was just fantastic. But another massive influence, and it was one of my biggest dreams to meet this guy, and fortunately I have, and his name is Sam Shepard.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Huge childhood idol, man, and I'm very proud to call him a friend.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, back when I was 15, 14, yeah, he massive idol of mine. I just love the way he plays. I love the way he carries himself, you know, like, yeah, just an absolute legend.
Fuck yes, absolutely he is. Cool. Well, following on from that, Tim, if you can narrow it down to one, because I know that you've played hundreds of shows and seen hundreds of different drummers, can you, if you can, narrow it down to one, tell us what your favorite drum performance that you've seen live is?
Oh, man, I was going to narrow it down to like three, but like if we're going to go one, Joey Jordison's last two gigs, man. And the reason, like, and this isn't just because he's a legend. It's not just because he's fucking amazing at what he does. But, like, one thing that I noticed, like, this is something I'll carry with me forever, man. Like, we were in Valhalla, which I believe was his last show. This was Bulletbelt playing with Sumthin. I'll mention that. And I was expecting him to sort of complain about how small the venue was and stuff like that. But, like, he was super humble about it. He loved it. He said, I don't care if I'm paying 10,000 people or bloody 5 people. I love coming to these shows. I love getting on the kit. The drum kit is my happy place. I love it. And when you see the expression on his face live, you can tell that that shit was his happy place, no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
And it was an absolute pleasure to see that, man. So I'll have to say that.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, what a fantastic answer. Thank you, Tim. All right. Next is a little bit more difficult for the drummers that I've asked to answer, which is exactly why I keep asking it. If you could, please, Tim, can you tell us how would you describe your style?
Legs on weed, arms on crack.
Legs on weed, arms on crack.
So I can elaborate on that if you like.
Please.
Legs on weed. So my legs do the job, right? They kind of carry the rhythm a bit, do a bit of flaring up, all that sort of jazz. But if I'm being honest, I'm no Steve from Metal Tower. You know what I mean? Like all these drummers that just go absolutely ballistic with the polyrhythm on the feed and all that sort of jazz. I get the job done, but it's not quite there in terms of the fancy work. The arms on crack, however, and this is where the more times is better type approach comes in, just love the fills, man. You know, like I want to hit as much shit as possible. There's nothing more annoying than seeing someone with a massive, massive setup and they're just playing rock beat number 2 the entire bloody 2.5 hours that they're playing. You know what I mean? Like, what a waste. Cut that out. Use the whole thing.
Sure.
So yeah, maybe I overcompensated for that from time to time, but you know, if you're gonna spend 20 grand on a kit or whatever, use the whole thing.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Awesome. Well, focusing in a little bit more on Crowns and Lunacy, can you tell us what the writing process is for that band, please?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So for both singles, it's basically been Stefan will send through the meat and potatoes of the song, essentially, and then Mickey, Mark, and myself will go away and add our own bits to it. So I'll learn my guitar parts first, for a couple of reasons. The riffs are a bit harder to learn, and also the drum sort of the song Hastings comes with a bit of a drum demo anyway, so I've got a little bit of an idea of what I'm doing. But yeah, so we sort of go back and forth with guitar parts first. Once he's relatively happy with that, we do the same with the drums. And yeah, like even though I'd say that it's Stefan's baby and he's like our Sergeant General of the band sort of thing, it's very, very much a team effort and everyone has their part, which is so awesome because you can hear bits of all of us in there sort of thing, you know. For example, Mark actually wrote the intro for And They Slow Monsters, which just sounded great in the end. So yeah, very much a team effort, which is cool.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So moving on to your drumming specifically, is there a specific technique that you are practicing or working on improving at the moment?
I think one, yeah, okay. So when we did the last recording, it was made very apparent that like I improvised too much with my fills, which is great for a live setting, but very bloody annoying for recording. So one thing I've really got to work on for the next one is if I'm going to do any fill for a song, make sure it's the same bloody thing every time so that the producer's not ripping his hair out. Sorry, TK, mate.
Yeah, okay. Yep, sure. I can definitely relate to that. No song is ever played exactly the same live. It just, you know, whether it's you know, half a bar, whether it's just a fill, whether it's like a larger part, there's, you know, my we'll call it my style is very superfluous and I try and nail it as much as I can, but it's always a little bit different. So I definitely feel you very much on that part. Absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Awesome.
Cool. So now, Tim, we move along to a game that I call First, Last, Best, and Worst. This is where you tell us about the first show.
Hell yeah.
This is where you tell us about your last show. This is where you tell us about your best show that's open for interpretation, and worst show that is also open for interpretation. We'll get to that in just a minute. To start us off, can you please tell us about the first show that you ever played?
All right. So this would probably be RockQuest 1999, a year into my drumming sort of learning, I guess. I ended up with a band called Eclipse, which actually had Rowan from Magnum Opus, which was cool.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so that was the very first gig. I was 11 at the time. So
Wow.
very nerve-wracking. Yeah.
Sure. Wow.
Very nerve-wracking.
Oh, that's I wish I was that cool, man. My son plays drums, and he's played drums in the primary school band as well as now the intermediate band. And so he played it.
Awesome.
Oh, it's amazing, bro. And he played at the primary school disco a couple of years ago when he was like 8, maybe 9.
Oh,
And I was
dude.
like, that's like, I wish I didn't start drumming until I was 19. So to see my son at 8, 9 years old, whatever it was, maybe 9, 10, something like that, up on
Yeah.
stage playing a gig, even if it was only 2 songs, but
Wow.
it was like amazing, absolutely amazing. So it's cool
Another
that you got to
another
do
drum prodigy in the making, dude.
another one, bro. If he keeps with it, he's going to be a
Wow.
weapon, I promise. Um,
I
cool.
look forward to seeing what he does, man.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's got a long way to go, but he's pretty good.
He'll get there.
So
He'll get there.
absolutely he will. Now, what was the last gig that you played?
Oh man, as a drummer, so the very last metal show I played was with Darklight Corporation. I played with them for a year in 2011. We were in Brisbane. That was fantastic because it was personally my first overseas couple of gigs. So yeah, we had a real good time. And then my last drumming gig was like an attempt at a grunge covers band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. Good intentions were had.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, since then, man, there's just been a lot of bass playing. So
Hmm.
hence the last big drumming gig was like a wee while ago.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does Crowns and Lunacy have any gigs planned?
Not necessarily, man. So what we're trying to do at this point is just get the good quality songs out there. Hence why we're doing it sort of a single at a time. We will eventually get into maybe like another single or an EP or something like that. And then even then we'll probably be a little bit fussy with the gigs we do play. Just kind of, I think we're in the process of trying to build our community up a bit before sort of, cashing into that one.
Sure.
So that we know what sort of crowds we're going to get when we do play live. But the intention is definitely there, that's for sure.
Fantastic. I can't
Yeah.
fucking wait to see you play drums live, man. That's awesome.
Oh, dude, looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. Cool. So next is best show. Now, as I mentioned, this is open to interpretation. This can be and this doesn't necessarily have to be drum related, but it certainly helps. It can be the best that you played. It can be the best gig in terms of who you were playing alongside, whether it was other bands or the band that you were with. It can be the best environment. It's really open to interpretation. But please, what's the best gig that you've ever played?
All right. Well, I'm gonna save the best Bulletbelt gig for another interview because that's a long ass list, man. Like, I go a day of that shit. But couple of big highlights drum wise. One was Darklight Corporation at our Oamaru show when Oamaru was absolutely pumping. Yeah, this was back in 2011. Good community, great crowds. We played really well. It was just fantastic all around, man. I'll never forget that. And actually, 2001 again. It was like the regional finals of the Rock Quest. This was before me and the Mofas when we were Nemesis. So I was like 13 at that time, and we played to what seemed like 500 people, and we stopped our second song mid song. I got up off the drums and I gave the crowd the biggest telling off about, you got to move around more. Come on, get into it. And man, it worked.
Oh yeah.
In a frenzy. It was amazing. It was great. And then had to go back to primary school on a Monday.
Back to reality, Buzz.
Back to reality, man. But those were two amazing gigs in particular. But like like I said, there's been quite a few. Yeah, if we're going to narrow it down, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. And then obviously the last one is the worst moment, worst gig, worst show. This can be, again, open to interpretation. It can be the worst that you played. It can be the worst environment. It can be the worst drum kit that you've had to play on. I've had a couple of those. There's, again, open to interpretation. Please, Tim.
Okay, so this particular one, the promoter was amazing. It was Gary Craze. It was RW Entertainment. He graciously got Magnum Opus to do the audience with the devil. This is when Crowns and Lunacy came to Auckland.
Nice.
So the organisation on that was absolutely phenomenal. We were meant to play third. I was meant to get an 8 o'clock a.m. flight. A.m. I get to the airport and Jetstar decide to bloody delay the flight by 12 hours, which meant a few things. One, we didn't leave Wellington until like 8 p.m., not before going to Christchurch for a detour where they left all my gear. Kicks, all down in Christchurch of all places. Then we get to the venue and Gareth, being that awesome dude he is, he didn't kick us off the show like any other promoter would. He put us on later. But later was like after Psychroptic. I'll get to that one in a second. I still had to have gear. So Steve from Metal Tower and Sam Shepherd both graciously gave me bits and pieces of their gear. I had a setup. Fantastic. We go on stage after Psychroptic play an amazing show. Only to find that everyone thought the show was over. So we ended up playing to about 10 people, something like that. So all thanks to Jetstar. Good on you guys. But the show itself was amazing, well organised, all that jargon. So yeah, I have to give props to all the awesome people involved in that.
Oh my God. That must have been a horrible day. Holy shit.
It was, but we got to meet the Psychroptic guys and hang out with them at the airport during the delay. So that was a big highlight.
Oh, absolutely. Dave Haley is a huge influence of mine. Obviously I come nowhere near to what he does, but often I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, what did Dave Haley do here? And then I do something 10 times worse. But that's the direction that I'm trying to get. Yeah, he's a huge influence of mine.
First of all, man, don't discredit yourself too much, mate. You're a bloody phenomenal drummer. Like, I've had the pleasure of watching you a few times, and I fucking love what I see, man.
Very generous. Thank you so much, man.
But yeah, no, he's definitely fun to watch, man, and he's a really good dude as well. Yeah. In a world where it's easy to be super bloody arrogant, those guys are fantastic to deal with. We've had the I think Bulletbelt have had the pleasure of playing with them a couple of times, and they've been awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. Now, we're almost at the very end of the show, but before we get there, if people want to find Crowns and Lunacy, where would they go?
So check us out on Spotify and YouTube. We're on all the social medias and stuff as well. But surprisingly, I looked up Crowns and Lunacy on Google, and one, we're not a spelling mistake, and two, we come up relatively quickly. So yeah, the name is that's a rare thing to have in a band name, man. So that's great. You look up Intergracia, it goes, are you sure you didn't mean something else? No, I meant that. So it's great to see that if you look up Crowns and Lunacy on Google, it will come up with the band.
Fantastic.
We're on all the important platforms and all that. So, yeah. Like I said earlier, check out our new single, And They Slew Monsters. It's out now on all your stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Right. Now, Tim, this is the very last part of the show. Now, this is where you get to make any plugs for any things that you've got coming up. It doesn't have to be Crowns and Lunacy. It can be Bulletbelt or whatnot. But yeah, make any plugs for any things that you've got coming up, and make any shout outs to any people that you want to make shout outs to. Tim, sir. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for everything you do, man. This is such a fantastic bloody thing you got going on, and I look forward to seeing more of it.
Thank you so much.
No worries, mate. Right. Band-wise, massive props to all the brothers in Bulletbelt, Omeka, Intergracia, Crowns and Lunacy, which reminds me, Steve Francis and Mo Galloway, both fantastic drummers. Love those guys. Should be interviewing them at some point as well, man.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Love
so
to.
big shout out to those guys and all the drummers out there, man. Like, Jesus, there's so much talent out there these days, man. You know, if we were to sit there and name everyone that's doing awesome things right now, we'd be here all night, but I won't waste your time. Thank you to everyone who's ever come to a show ever and has ever listened to stuff, bought merch, whatever it was. Even if you gave it a 2-second listen. Cheers heaps. All people have met in our time, thank you all. And thank every single person that's part of the music industry, obviously, particularly metal, but biased on that one. Thank you all. Just eternally grateful to have a tiny bloody fingerprint in this thing, eh? You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Tim, this has been a soiree. I have absolutely loved getting to chat with you about drums and your journey, man. You are a fucking star, and I love every time I get to chat to you. Thank you so much for being on my show.
Mate, always a pleasure, never a chore.
Never a chore. Awesome. You're a star, bro. So thank you very much to Tim for being on my show, and thank you so much for watching. This has been The Drop Clutch episode 26 with me, Ricky V. We'll see you next time.